What is up, guys, and welcome back to another video. And today we're going to be talking about the top 10 greatest interracial couples. But before we start the video, guys, I would like to announce that I actually started a new channel, and if you guys could please subscribe there and help me out, because those videos are going to be straight fire. So make sure to check it out, guys, and let's get back to the video with number 10, Kyle Rayner and Sarnik Natu. Kyle Rayner, better known as the last Green Lantern, first encountered his lover after he was brought into the Green Lantern Corps, of which Sarnak. The two would fight together for quite some time as simply partners in battle until the Sinestro Corps War, where the two spent extensive amounts of time together. Eventually, despite the fact that they were very often in combat, once their battles were over, they had successfully returned to Oa, and the two confessed their love for each other and began a relationship. The significance of this relationship was that they were technically not allowed to have it according to the third new law, which states that Green Lanterns cannot form relationships. Eventually, they go public despite the rules that they are breaking. Number 9, Forge and Storm. Forge and Storm, both members of X-Men, had a relationship for quite some time that fans enjoyed. Forge's ability was possessing a superhuman intelligence level for technology, inventing, and marksmanship. This allowed him to be an interesting and unique character. Storm, on the other hand, has the ability to control the weather as well as fly, something a bit far from traditional when thinking of a hero's power. When Forge rescues Storm after falling into a river, he brings her back to Dallas, Texas, where she recovers and heals. During this time, the two begin to develop romantic feelings, but after it is revealed that Forge made the device that took her abilities away, she leaves. Later on, the two reconnect under unfortunate circumstances, and after a lot of backstory, they both end up in another dimension that is devoid of all human life. Here, they rekindle their romantic relationship, and Forge is able to restore Storm's ability to get back home. Even though their relationship ended, it was nice to see it happen at all. Number 8, Wally West and Linda Park. To think Wally West would be with Linda Park instead of Jessica Quick is a bit weird. Anyways, in the comics, the two are together and even get married. Linda is a reporter, and because of this occupation, she encountered Wally on multiple accounts while trying to cover her story. The two first finally started to develop feelings for each other when Wally moved to Keystone. After flirting and talking for a bit, Linda was going to move to Midway City, but Wally convinced her to stay. The relationship began to pick up the pace, with them finally declaring their love for each other shortly after this. Linda becomes pregnant with twins, but then she is attacked by Zoom, which causes her to lose them both. Devastated, Wally went after Zoom, and one of their battles spontaneously restored Linda's pregnancy, and she finally gave birth to the two children. Number 7, Cloak and Dagger. Cloak and Dagger have an upcoming TV show on Freeform, and because of this, popularity in this lesser known power couple has grown significantly. The way they met was less than normal, as Tyrone Johnson, an African-American young man, was actually planning on mugging Tandy Bowen, a teenage girl. Well, after a turn of events, Tyrone helps Tandy from being mugged from another robber, and they two soon hit it off. They bond over the fact that they are homeless runaways, even though they come from entirely different backgrounds. Later on, they decide to accept some shelter from strangers, but unfortunately this was a huge mistake. They were forced to take synthetic heroin that was developed by chemists working under a villain, and the two underwent pain and trauma together. Afterwards, they survived the experience and gained their powers, thus becoming Cloak and Dagger of today. Through all the experiences, good and bad, the two seem to stay together as close as knit partners. Number 6, Northstar and Kyle. Northstar was extremely popular when he was introduced because he was the first openly gay character in the Marvel Universe. He has the ability to move at high speeds, all while maintaining this persona as a well-rounded and talented individual to the public eye. On the other side of things, Kyle was a character that appeared in the beginning as more of a cameo, being Northstar's manager, before being fully in a relationship with the hero. One of the biggest politically talked about moments is when these two have their wedding. So many news outlets and sources of media talked about this because it was essentially the first openly gay marriage in comic book history, and even the comics made a big deal out of it. The couple hit issues like gay marriage and also deportation, as Kyle was threatened to be sent back to Canada. Number 5, Wolverine and Mariko. Everybody's go-to member of the X-Men, Wolverine, has had quite a few relationships with different characters over the years, including the likes of Storm, Mystique, and Rogue. But very likely, the best known is his time spent with his old wife, Mariko. She is the daughter of Shinjin Yashida and also the head of a Japanese crime family. It's already evident that Mariko is a woman of power, much like her lover. The two first met each other during an X-Men mission in Japan to stop the terrorist Moses Magnum. During this time, they both formed an attraction for each other. They would see each other fairly often as Mariko would make trips to the US to visit her lover. Despite their feelings, Mariko was married to the leader of another gang by her father in order to form family connections, which was a marriage that was unfortunately abusive. What came next can be summed up as Logan disagreed with the current situation and they two became engaged soon after. The two even eventually adopted a daughter together. This love story didn't have a happy ending unfortunately, as Mariko was eventually poisoned and Wolverine had to put her out of her misery out of his love for her. Number 4, Luke Cage and Jessica Jones. With both of them having their own Netflix solo series and the highly anticipated Defender show coming up very soon, it's no surprise that Luke Cage and Jessica Jones appeared on this list. In the Jessica Jones show, the two meet because Luke Cage owns a bar nearby where she lives. The relationship is purely sexual in the beginning, but when things get more complex, the two decide to break it off. This is similar to the comics, as after this happens, Jessica Jones begins a relationship with Scott Lang or Ant-Man. The relationship seems to be going well and all except for the fact that she slept with Luke Cage while dating Ant-Man. She reveals to the audience and Ant-Man that she has been pregnant for the last 3 months and it was not his kid. She then goes to Luke Cage and explains that he is indeed the father, and he tells her he has feelings for her. The two begin their relationship again through all the action in the Marvel Universe, all while protecting their daughter Danielle Cage. Number 3, Iron Fist and Misty Knight. Misty Knight was a New York cop who lost an arm in an attack, later receiving a prosthetic replacement from Tony Stark, then beginning a private practice as an investigator with her friend Colleen Wing. Because of this new job, she often worked alongside with the crime-fighting superhero Iron Fist as well as many others. It didn't take long after the two first met for them to fall in love with each other. Their relationship soon faced challenges however, as Misty had a thing with Tyrone King at the same time, although she did end this after saving Iron Fist from drowning. Iron Fist would later break up with her, causing Knight to start a new partnership with Power Man. Although this new couple would be brief, it did cause high tensions between Iron Fist and Power Man for quite some time. Iron Fist would be presumed dead for some time later after that, although Misty sees through this ruse and the two eventually reconnect, starting their relationship over again. The two had a touching and complimentary relationship throughout the years, although they both acknowledged that they were both bad at this. They had major disagreements, and despite caring a lot for each other, even Iron Fist described himself as a bad person to be in a relationship with. But despite this, they always came through for each other. Number 2, Bishop and Deathbird. Deathbird, a supervillain and enemy of the X-Men, would seem like a pretty unlikely partner for Bishop, an ally of the superhero team. This came about because the villain actually teamed up with the Force to help defend the Shire Empire from an attack. As a result of this alliance in combat, Bishop and Deathbird found interest in each other, both from physical attraction and respect for their combat abilities. During the crew's flight back to Earth, the ship explodes, with Deathbird escaping with her injured new lover. Deathbird then tells Bishop that all the others on the ship are dead and he has been paralyzed, but Bishop discovers this to be untrue. Rather, he knows that Deathbird is using her own equipment to prevent him from moving. These bounds are forcibly removed when the ship is attacked though, and they had to protect it. Strangely, this betrayal didn't end the relationship, but rather the two soon became romantically involved. While this wasn't the most conventional of relationships, they had clearly begun to influence each other, as Deathbird can later be seen showing mercy in combat as a result of this. Number 1, Carmella Frost and Emshila Scott. Carmella and Emshila hold a rather important place in comic book history, despite the fact that you've probably never heard of them. They met when Frost, a biologist, was captured by the Martian Masters, of which Scott was a gladiator for at the time. Emshila was highly skilled with a crossbow as well as hand-to-hand combat, and the two soon fell in love before escaping. These two were actually the first interracial couple to appear in mainstream comics, as well as sharing the first on-panel interracial kiss. Needless to say, this comic book pair hold a special place in the pages of history. And that is it for the video, guys. As always, thanks for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at Valenplana, and I'll see you all later.